Thanks very much for joining me on Phrases Friday. I'm Lynn Sherritt, and I've been spending time thinking about leadership and the abilities of leaders. So it starts with understanding that clarity as a leader develops as you go and do the work, not before you go. In this series, I've chatted about the importance of people leadership, especially during these very challenging times. I've also talked about the importance of establishing relationships and building trust. That's an underpinning to all the work that I've done in leadership. And so now I want to explore with you the leadership dimensions that I've researched. The first three are leadership dimensions that Michael Fullan and I have researched in writing Putting Faces on the Data. And then I talked about the importance last week of sustainability. And this week I'm talking about imaginability and what leaders do. And I'd like to welcome Jim Coutts. And Jim is a former science teacher, a physical education and health teacher, and also a coach. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about what are we going to talk about, Jim?
Imaginability. It's my favorite of all the dimensions.
We're going to talk about imaginability. Thanks, Jim. I'm glad you're here. So the first thing is important that leaders really model the belief that all students can learn and that we see the possibilities in all of our students. Jim, what stands out for you in these abilities?
I really like this. I like the notion that people who are willing to take risks, calculated risks, are often willing to look outside the box, as people say, but more importantly, they're willing to look at all of the options that are available in the community, in the school, in the system, and pick and choose, mentally pick and choose exactly what they need to do to support kids and support teachers, and then they make it happen. And that's what's so magnificent about people who are willing to take that kind of risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we're not going to read all of the dimensions of a leader who can imagine what's possible, but we're going to pick out some of our favorites. So for me, it's about always trying alternative approaches to achieving student success, especially when no one else believes that there's a problem that even requires a solution.
And right now, the whole COVID thing worldwide is one of these problems that people are approaching from fear and trepidation on one side, willing to take risks on another. And it's really interesting that often now it's the risk-averse people who are actually developing really good new ideas because they realize their practice has to change.
Absolutely, and they're becoming more confident in taking those risks. So leaders who can imagine look for opportunities for all of their teachers and their students, and do take those risks. What else do you see here, Jim?
Well, I really like the notion of multiple collaborators, things happening in the community. Again, the person in the school, the parent who approaches the school and says, hey, I do this, I could do this with your kids, or I do this, my company does that. Magna in Aurora, the car manufacturing company that came to the school system and said, hey, we need lots of kids to be apprentices, and we've got jobs, lots and lots of jobs.
And as a school system, we were opening to what they were proposing, and it was an amazing partnership. So that's when we're open to learning, open to considering new ideas and taking the risk to see them happen.
And now in COVID time, the teachers and the leaders are looking to IT people in school, IT people outside of school, and saying, hey, you only come to see me usually when the keyboard's broken. I need some help. And the IT people are just stepping right up too.
Exactly. And we're finding that new leaders are emerging because
For
of
sure,
that.
for sure.
So let's take a look at teachers and leaders who model that positive growth mindset in being able to imagine what's possible for all students. So they not only believe in themselves, they believe in their students, and they believe their students can improve and make a difference. What stands out for you, Jim?
I really like point number one, believing in themselves and believing in their students as learners, and being able to help those kids, and being able to help fellow teachers too.
Exactly. So leaders who can imagine feel enabled, they engage in intentional practice, and they show persistence and resilience. So bottom line is that leaders who imagine commit to all students' improvement and stop at nothing to find the ways that that will happen. We're going to take a look at the students now. And what do the students need? Well, the students need to be taught resilience, perseverance, grit. And I believe you can teach that. And these are the sentences that I often use with my students, and particularly, Jim, the last one. I believe I am lovable and capable. And I taught that to my students who were identified with special needs, and taught them to use that and when to use it in situations so that they could always think to themselves that they are lovable and capable and competent. I think you have an example too, Jim, of two students that you really taught the importance.
I love this story. Two young boys, year 9, year 10, a migrant family, working and living in a not terrific part of town. In the first 2 weeks of school, the year 9 boy would show up one day and the year 10 boy would show up the next day. I didn't notice this pattern of behavior until about 2 weeks were out, when I was actually checking off the boxes of attendance. And finally, after about the 3rd week, I was able to grab one of the boys and say, "What's going on? Why is it that you show up on Monday and your brother shows up on Tuesday? What's going on?" And the little boy looked up at me and he said, "Mister, it's the shirt." And the shirt. It took a couple of minutes. He said, "The shirt. Today, I have the shirt. Tomorrow, my brother has the shirt." So, okay. So we sold t-shirts, as every phys department did. Grabbed 6 t-shirts, put them in a gym bag. They never missed a day after that. Fabulous. Never one day, either one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and now they're contributing citizens in the community.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, imaginability is so important. Believing in students, believing in teachers, believing that we can make a difference by sometimes thinking outside the box.
Exactly.
Wouldn't you say?
Exactly.
So this reminds me of our work in Longreach, which is in Central Australia. And we went out there to meet with principals, and I worked with the principals in this system. And in the evening, we had an amazing feast because the big red truck pulled up. And inside the truck, it was fully outfitted with a commercial restaurant quality
kitchen. There was a full chef's kitchen.
Yeah, and there's the teacher and the students preparing our meal, and they served 160 of us. And what a contribution they're making, not only to their own career opportunities, but also to the community. And that big red truck goes across Central Australia, and the teachers on that in that course and the students work together to provide the community with a service as well as learning about hospitality and cooking as well.
It's a brilliant collaboration, yeah. A really brilliant collaboration.
And with business partners who provided the truck and
outfitted the kitchen.
Yes, and the school region who continues to support students and teachers learning in this way.
So it's really good for the partner too, in the case of Magna and Aurora,
Yeah.
and in this case, the hospitality industry in Queensland.
Exactly. So for us, the ability to imagine is really important as a leadership tool to really ensure that we're all pushing the boundaries on behalf of our students and our teachers. So as this says, we believe every successful person begins with two beliefs. The future can be better than the present, and I have the power to make it so. That's about imaginability. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Precisely.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.